Inside the courtroom, tension hit a breaking point as proceedings took a dramatic, unexpected turn for Sean Combs. What had begun as another intense day in a high-profile legal battle suddenly escalated into something far more consequential. As prosecutors addressed the court, a heavy silence fell over the room. The judge paused, absorbing the weight of the statement, while Combs' expression visibly tightened. His legal team leaned in, exchanging urgent whispers as they scrambled to adjust their strategy, but the momentum had already shifted. Then came the revelation that left everyone stunned. Prosecutors announced plans to introduce alleged video evidence reportedly linked to a teenage Justin Bieber. In an instant, the courtroom transformed. Every eye locked forward, the implications hanging thick in the air. Whatever preparation the defense had brought suddenly felt insufficient. From that moment on, it was clear, this trial had entered an entirely new, and potentially game-changing, phase. This was no ordinary lawsuit, far from another fleeting allegation that would vanish with the next news cycle. This moment carried a weight unlike anything before. For the first time, Sean Combs, the man who built a global empire on charisma, influence, and an air of untouchable confidence, appeared visibly shaken. His trademark composure had vanished. The bold, unshakable presence that once defined him seemed to crumble under the pressure of the moment. And in its place emerged something almost unimaginable in a figure of his stature: raw, unmistakable vulnerability.
In the meantime, let's talk about the fact that Combs' co-defendant in a civil case, a case, by the way, that accuses him and this co-defendant, another A-lister, of rape, this guy is once again slamming the attorney behind the case, insisting that he be sanctioned for allegedly not doing his job. We're talking, of course, about Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z, once again calling out attorney Tony Buzbee, calling out his character, more specifically into question, claiming that the Texas attorney's filings have, quote, substantial inaccuracies and that there was a failure to properly investigate before filing. Now, we've talked about this before, but basically, a civil lawsuit was filed against Sean Combs on behalf of a Jane Doe who says that she was raped by Combs and another celebrity at a home after the Video Music Awards in 2000. She says she was just 13 years old when this happened. And weeks after the initial filing, Buzbee submitted an amended complaint naming Jay-Z as the celebrity who allegedly participated in this assault.
But to grasp the full gravity of that moment, we need to rewind, because nothing unfolded overnight. This was the culmination of a relentless chain of events, each one pushing closer to a breaking point. Sean Combs, once hailed as one of hip-hop's most influential icons, now finds himself in a radically different position. The mogul who built careers, dominated headlines, and projected an image of absolute control is now facing battles on multiple fronts: his reputation, his freedom, and the empire he spent decades constructing. A wave of civil lawsuits and intense federal scrutiny has begun to chip away at the foundation that once seemed untouchable. Power that defined his public persona is being tested in a courtroom, where influence counts for nothing without evidence, and where every revelation, every twist, carries the potential to reshape his legacy forever.
Those claims. Anyways, I want to also just show you this montage. This is a montage that was shared by Evie Magazine. They do great work on their TikTok of Justin Bieber, again, just 15 years old, in Hollywood, surrounded by a bunch of adults. And you let me know if any of this registers to you as normal. Take a listen.
I feel violated right now. Wow.
Lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 16. I'll be 17 in like 2 weeks.
I don't ever remember smelling that good at 16. Like that was bad.
Yeah.
Wow, look at your eyes. Look at what a beautiful face. All right.
For years, people speculated about Diddy's strange influence over the young pop star. But after Diddy's arrest in September, fans started putting the pieces together. Why was Bieber always around him as a kid? Why did Diddy speak about their time together like it was some kind of secret rite of passage? Then came the resurfaced footage. A clip from 2009 suddenly started making rounds online. In it, Diddy is seen boasting about spending 48 hours with 15-year-old Bieber. "What we're doing, we can't really disclose," Diddy brags, grinning at the camera. But it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. Bieber, sitting beside him, plays along. "Let's just go get some girls."
Justin Bieber
began to
turned
surface, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. They hinted at a lifestyle so troubling, so deeply unsettling, that even longtime associates were reportedly starting to distance themselves. There were no dramatic press conferences, no explosive denials, just a quiet, unmistakable shift. Invitations went unanswered. Public appearances dwindled. A silence settled, heavier than any statement could ever convey. Behind closed doors, that silence grew even more suffocating. And as speculation mounted, one name kept surfacing over and over: Justin Bieber. Whether by coincidence or by connection, the repeated invocation of his name added an entirely new layer of gravity to an already volatile situation, intensifying public curiosity and scrutiny to unprecedented levels.
Justin Bieber turned 15, and it suddenly seemed that Hollywood was keen to almost initiate him. I think that's the right word. Like, there was almost like this initiation that he needed to go through. So I want you to be now super uncomfortable and watch this video of an interaction between him and none other than Diddy. Take a listen.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
Signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
For years, quiet speculation swirled around the unusually close relationship between Sean Combs and a teenage Justin Bieber. At the time, it was largely dismissed as standard industry mentorship, just another powerful figure guiding a rising star. But after Combs' arrest in September, those lingering questions resurfaced with renewed intensity. Suddenly, old interviews and archived footage were being dissected frame by frame. Viewers began asking tough, uncomfortable questions. Why was Bieber so frequently in Combs' orbit at such a young age? And why did Combs, in later interviews, describe their time together in ways that felt unusually guarded? Then came the clip that reignited the debate. The 2009 video began circulating widely online. In it, Combs speaks directly to the camera about spending 48 hours with a then 15-year-old Bieber, hinting that certain details of their time together were not meant for public discussion. He frames the experience as exclusive and unforgettable, while Bieber, sitting beside him, appears to play along. Viewed years later, that same footage takes on an entirely different meaning. What once seemed like casual industry banter now carries layers of implication, fueling questions that continue to reverberate far beyond the original broadcast.
So young Justin Bieber, who was signed by Usher, involved with Scooter Braun, now all of a sudden he's being put in the hands of Diddy, who, it is true, he became the legal guardian for Usher. You can look up all of the allegations of what Diddy did to Usher. A lot of this coming out via multiple lawsuits that essentially, if we were to put it in a nice context, or at least use a euphemism for something that's really disgusting, the allegations are essentially that Diddy very much initiated Usher into Hollywood. And as we are going through these lawsuits and Diddy is in prison, we are recognizing that everybody knew. This was an open secret about what Diddy was doing. So it just begs the question, who allowed Justin Bieber to be in the presence of this man, knowing what he was up to? Allegedly up to. That seems to be very clear, that there is some veracity to those claims.
At the time, the moment was largely dismissed, brushed off as awkward banter between a powerful music mogul and a rising teenage star. It barely registered beyond a fleeting ripple of curiosity. But in the shadow of the allegations now surrounding Sean Combs, that same clip carries an entirely different weight. Context changes everything. What once felt like harmless industry bravado is now being replayed, scrutinized, and dissected with unprecedented intensity. Every glance, every gesture, every carefully chosen word is being re-examined. Viewers aren't just watching the footage, they're analyzing it, reading between the lines. And through this new lens, what once seemed inconsequential now feels profoundly unsettling, amplifying questions that refuse to fade.
Justin Bieber's got more on his mind than Diddy's arrest. A source telling ET the new dad's energy is going towards wife Hailey and son Jack. And he's not focused on what is going on with Diddy or the allegations against him.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
The insider info coming after footage of Diddy and Justin resurfaced on social media. Videos showed the disgraced media mogul alongside teenage Justin, with online sleuths speculating if, at the time, he subjected the pop star to his alleged freak-offs.
Then came the moment no one in the courtroom seemed ready for. Prosecutors made a decisive move, announcing their intent to introduce video evidence they called critical to the case. The reaction was instantaneous. Sean Combs' legal team sprang into action, objecting with urgency. Voices rose. Papers rustled. A rapid back and forth erupted as attorneys fought to block the footage from view. But after a tense pause, the judge delivered the verdict. Objection overruled. The video would be admitted. In that instant, the energy in the courtroom shifted entirely. What had been a battle of strategy and legal maneuvering suddenly became real, tangible, and unavoidable. 'Cause once evidence is revealed, it can never be unseen. From that moment on, the course of the trial felt fundamentally and irrevocably changed.
He did an interview back in 2020 with Zane Lowe. I think this was on Apple Music. And he was speaking about another young artist that was coming up, Billie Eilish. And Eilish. And he was basically speaking about how he wanted to protect her because she was now another young person, a rising artist in the industry. And sort of out of nowhere, he became quite overcome with emotion. Take a listen.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So yeah, it's hard because I want her to know that, she can count on me, but at the end of the day, I'm never gonna force myself to be in a relationship with her. It has to be natural, right? So I just kind of, let her do her thing, and if she ever needs me, I'm gonna be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters, and
I'm not even kidding. Watching that clip makes me emotional because he is saying so much without really saying anything. Protect Billie Eilish from what? From who? What is he so concerned about when he sees this young person in the industry? What exactly did he go through?
For years, Justin Bieber largely avoided public questions about his early career. The mentors who guided him, the industry power players who shaped his rise, and the influential figures who helped open doors. Interviews were carefully controlled, appearances meticulously managed, and the narrative tightly curated. But since Sean Combs' legal troubles began to unfold, that pattern seems to be shifting. Behind the scenes, Bieber has taken a series of quiet, calculated steps, subtle signals that many interpret as a conscious effort to create distance from a complicated and increasingly scrutinized chapter of his past. Every action, from social media silence to carefully staged public appearances, hints at a deliberate separation between his present and the controversies now swirling around those early connections.
And while disgraced movie mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been slammed with another lawsuit. An unnamed person has accused the music mogul of drugging and assaulting him. As per a lawsuit which was filed in New York, the incident allegedly took place in 2015. Prosecutors and the lawyer representing the alleged victims in the case have been behind a substantial number of suits brought against Combs over the past year, including one that named Jay-Z as an additional defendant. The new lawsuit says that in 2015, the unnamed male person had approached Combs with the aspirations of becoming a rapper and singer. The 23-year-old was scheduled to open for a popular music artist at a series of Los Angeles nightclubs. Now, prior to his performance, he was informed that Combs would be in attendance, and should the performance go well, Combs would consider signing him to Bad Boy Records. The lawsuit further stated that later that night he attended an after party where there were other well-known entertainers who were taking in drugs. Now, one of Combs' associates handed him a drink which he later realized was drugged. The unnamed person has further claimed that during his unconscious state, Diddy Combs had engaged in unconsented sexual activities. Meanwhile, in a statement provided to media, Combs' attorneys say, and I'm quoting here, "As we've said before, Mr. Combs cannot respond to every new publicity stunt, even in response to claims that are facially ridiculous."
More allegations followed. A full-scale investigation uncovered years of abuse, an alleged criminal enterprise that involved trafficking, coercion, and a network designed to keep victims silent.
So, according to the complaint, Jane Doe says that, again, when she was 13 years old in 2000, when her and a friend drove to Radio City Music Hall in New York City, where the Video Music Awards, the VMAs, were being held, she says she didn't have a ticket. So what does she do? She mills about outside, and that's when she says that one of Sean Combs' limo drivers told her to come back later and he would take her to an after party. She claims that she was given a drink at this after party, which she now believes was drugged. She claims she started feeling woozy, went to find somewhere to lay down, and that is when she says she was raped by Jay-Z and Sean Combs.
The first sign was subtle, but it did not go unnoticed. Bieber quietly unfollowed Usher on social media. Alone, it might have seemed minor, even trivial, but in context, it carried real weight. Usher was the very person who had introduced Bieber to Sean Combs years earlier, a pivotal connection in his early career. Speculation erupted immediately. Then came an even more significant development. Bieber cut ties with Scooter Braun, his longtime manager and one of the most influential figures guiding his rise, a figure widely regarded as both protector and mentor through the music industry's complexities. Together, these calculated moves sent a clear message. Bieber was deliberately drawing a line between himself and the past, signaling a break from connections that had once defined him.
A lot of times you would have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand the consent.
The new interview, part of Investigation Discovery's docuseries, The Fall of Diddy.
My job.
Then the past began to resurface. Old interviews of Bieber speaking candidly about the pressures of growing up in Hollywood began circulating again. He spoke openly about the adults who let him down, the lessons learned the hard way, and the trauma he still carries. And then there was the clip that went viral once more, Bieber, visibly emotional, explaining why he feels a responsibility to protect young artists like Billie Eilish from the industry's darker realities. Suddenly, those words took on a far heavier weight. What had once seemed like heartfelt advice now appeared revealing, almost prophetic. That clip, once seen as just an emotional moment, began landing in an entirely new light, resonating with audiences in ways it never had before.
My job is to shield his private life from the public.
Fans began connecting the dots, and so did the prosecution. What started as a single, explosive allegation quickly ignited a much larger legal firestorm. Sean Combs first faced accusations from an aspiring musician, identified in court documents as John Doe, who claimed Combs had drugged and assaulted him at a 2015 after-party. The allegation alone sent shockwaves through the public and media, but it was only the beginning. What followed escalated rapidly, transforming into a legal maelstrom that threatened not just his freedom, but the empire he had painstakingly built over decades. Each new development added pressure. and the stakes grew higher by the day, leaving no part of his legacy
even
untouched.
post, and then the Twitter trolls will be, we're her kids. Well, I'm protecting them, and this is sad. I mean, this is sad. And this one with Bieber.
This is the Bieber one. Yeah.
Where are the parents?
Yeah, and which parent would say, you know what? We don't know you. We know that you're a celebrity. Go and hang out with this guy for weeks on end by yourself. And at what time, at what era is this cool?
In the most critical years, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. How is this, Lena?
They both turn.
How is this normal?
They both turn into superstars.
Yeah.
That's the sacrifice you make.
Yeah, well, that's the sacrifice. But one of them had to go to church and he freaking lost his mind.